replaced Smirks with Gloating as the BBC has been hit by 925 complaints about controversial documentary, The Princes and the Press. The two-part film, criticised by the royal family, received 776 complaints following the first episode, which examined the period after the Queen's Diamond Jubilee. The second episode, following the last 3 years, received 149 complaints. The documentary included suggestion stories about the Duchess of Sussex had been leaked by courtiers. It also examined the relationship between the Duke of Sussex, 37, and the Duke of Cambridge, 39. In a statement given to the BBC, and shown at the end of the programme, Buckingham Palace, Clarence House and Kensington Palace said, "A free, responsible and open press is of vital importance to a healthy democracy. However, too often it is overblown and unfounded claims from unnamed sources that are presented as facts, and it is disappointing when anyone, including the BBC, gives them credibility." However, the BBC has previously claimed it had approached Buckingham Palace, Kensington Palace, and Clarence House. The programme was fronted by Today presenter, Amol Rajan, 38. After the documentary aired last month, Mr. Rajan apologised for rude and immature comments he made about the royal family 10 years ago. Mr. Rajan described the Queen's Diamond Jubilee as a celebration of mediocrity. In a column for The Independent on the Diamond Jubilee in January 2012, Mr. Rajan accused the Duke of Edinburgh of being a racist buffoon and described Prince Charles as scientifically illiterate. GB News presenter Rosie explained, "Buckingham Palace have accused the BBC of giving credibility to, these are their words, overblown and unfounded claims about the alleged rift between Princes Harry and William, in what's been described as an explosive documentary which aired last night." Her co-host Simon added the royal family were disappointed the BBC aired the film without providing the palace with a preview first. Angela, who published Prince Harry's biography in 2018, expressed sympathy with the royals' recent statement. She said, "I think that they've had enough of being attacked without speaking out. The Queen's idea of don't complain or explain has been a very strong one, but it doesn't work in today's modern world with so much social media." The three households representing the Queen, Charles and William, issued their response to the documentary on Tuesday morning. However, Angela and GB News maintained the palace should have been made aware of what the film would cover, including a defense from Meghan's lawyer. The commentator continued, "The ending of a documentary is always the bit that stays with you, and they chose to use Meghan's lawyer to say that she wasn't a bully and she was wonderful to work with. So you get the gist of what the whole thing was all about in my view. It's very biased towards anti-William, anti-Charles and pro-Meghan and Harry. So you have to wonder how that's come about." Writing on Twitter on December 2, Mr. Rajan said, in reference to very reasonable questions about some foolish commentary from a former life, "I want to say I deeply regret it. I wrote things that were rude and immature, and I look back on them now with real embarrassment, and ask myself what I was thinking. I would like to say sorry for any offense they caused then or now." While the BBC did receive close to 1,000 complaints, in April the broadcaster received 109,741 objections for its coverage of Prince Philip's death. Responding to the complaints, the BBC said, "The Princes and the Press explored the relationship between the media and the monarchy, focusing on the younger royals." It included interviews with a range of print and broadcast reporters who follow the royals closely and heard their views on the relationship the press has with the royal family and what influences the stories that are published. "We conducted more than 80 hours of interviews and sought views from a wide variety of contributors. This included approaches to Buckingham Palace, Kensington Palace and Clarence House for comment or for a representative to be interviewed for this series. A joint statement issued by them was included in both programs." To recap, the BBC's media editor, Rajan, has now been the subject of days of unfavourable press, and reported outrage from the royal family, for saying that William and Harry's households briefed against each other. Before we go on, I should say I have never so much as met Rajan, in case anyone imagines we're friends from some cursed London media party circuit. I do not attend cursed parties. I did very much enjoy his book on spin bowlers, though, a much better way of spending an evening than having champagne misted halitotically over you by a parade of dickheads who imagine that their work is hugely significant. What is it about Rajan that has so enraged some sections of the press? The Mail in particular has run a number of articles and columns by the likes of Janet Street Porter, in which he is energetically trashed. Next year he's presenting 2 documentaries on social mobility, remarks Janet tartly, a subject he seems to know very well. Righto. And that's bad now, is it? Forgive me, I'm just trying to understand the specific level it would be acceptable for a person such as Amal Rajan to reach. And why? In the meantime, The Sun and Mail have called loudly for the smelling salts over this look at the prince's relations with the media, citing such outrages as the documentary having annoyed members of the royal family, and Rajan's previously expressed Republican views. On both counts, so what? Everyone has views, and it's pathetic of so-called free speech nuts to pretend that they haven't. He certainly didn't push them in the program. Even accounting for their long-term interest in attacking the BBC, we have to wonder why the enemies of cancel culture are trying to cancel him for it. Given that the only human right they care about is free speech, this seems an awkward spot to be occupying. Speech. Who published Prince Harry's biography in 2018, expressed sympathy with the royals' recent statement. She said, "I think that they've had enough of being attacked without speaking out. The Queen's idea of don't complain or explain has been a very strong one, but it doesn't work in today's modern world with so much social media." The three households representing the Queen, Charles and William, issued their response to the documentary on Tuesday morning. However, Angela and GB News maintained the palace should have been made aware of what the film would cover, including a defense from Meghan's lawyer. The commentator continued, "The ending of a documentary is always the bit that stays with you, and they chose to use Meghan's lawyer to say that she wasn't a bully and she was wonderful to work with. So you get the gist of what the whole thing was all about in my view."